Hello everyone and welcome back to Brooksburk Zoo. And as you can see on the map right here, this zoo is becoming a real cool and big zoo in the meantime. So let's have a look at first on what we did in the last episode, like we do all the time when we are heading into a new episode. In the last episode we built something really cool. It's so cramped in here. I really don't like how cramped this is in that area between the red riverhawks and the warthogs, so I have to think about a solution of this. Maybe this will also change once we have the round course around here where we built the gibbon habitat in the last episode, when we will connect it with the main path right next to the restaurant. I hope this will work out and so the guests will explore a little more into the zoo after that, so that we don't have this whole bunch of people around the pigs. Yeah, but let's have a look at the gibbon habitat that we did in the last episode. I really like this habitat, and I appreciate it so much that the gibbons are using all of these climbing frames so perfectly. And yeah, I'm just in love with the whole habitat here. So, before I started this episode, I did a quick survey on YouTube and asked you guys what animal should be next here in Brooksburk Zoo. Yeah, many of you guys took part in that survey, and so you made the decision that we should have the African penguin in here, which was a great idea. And yeah, I wished for you to vote for the African penguin, because I thought this would be such a nice addition and would make so much sense right next to the pygmy hippos, because we have a semi-aquatic animal with the pygmy hippos, and what would fit better than another aquatic animal in this corner around here. So very happy with that choice, and that also made me think that maybe we should do those surveys a little bit more often. So you can find one more right now on YouTube, where you can vote for the next animal that we are going to build for in this zoo. I'm thinking right now of giving you the choice, as we have the gibbon in here, and I think more of the Asian animals would make sense. So maybe we should build something for the Malayan sun bear, or maybe the binturong, which would also make sense, climbing animals for gibbons, and yeah, that would be pretty cool. And we don't have that much predators in here, so maybe the Malayan sun bear would be a great addition as well. And I'm thinking of another Asian animal. First of all, I thought of the babirusa, but then I thought, no, we already do have two pig species in here, and I don't think that it would be cool to call Brooksburk the pig zoo or the hog zoo. So we're not going for the babirusa. But what do you guys think of something a little bit bigger? So maybe Malayan tapir? So I'm gonna give you the choice between Malayan tapir, binturong, and Malayan sun bear. And I'm very curious what you guys will come up with, or which animal you are going to vote for. I'm not going to tell you right now which one of these animals is going to be my favorite. So I don't want to influence you in any kind of form. So yeah, it's up to you what will happen next. And I think what we are going to do is we are going to build the habitat for the new animal right next to the African penguins. So to make the connection on the left side of the path towards the gibbons, so that we can close this area, kind of. Yeah, but let's go back into this build. You can already see I did the ground shape for the building for the penguins. It's not going to be a go-through or any kind of building where the guests could actually look into. I decided we're not going to do this every time that we are building a habitat, because this tends to be boring after some time. So I decided to have this being just a backstage building, I'd say, and that has to be enough. We're also going to have an underwater viewing area for the penguins for sure, because this would make absolutely sense, and therefore I did the terrain work. I decided to have some rock work on the ground of the water section in the habitat, and the rest of it on the side of our visitors is going to be concrete, and on the side of the penguins it's going to be very natural sculpted, so with some sand and dirt and stuff like that, rocks and all of that kind. The habitat is quite big. Well, not quite big in the sense of a big habitat, but quite long, I have to say, because it goes from the pygmy hippos all the way to the indoor habitat for the gibbons. It's not very, don't know the word in English. Yeah, it's quite a long habitat, but not broad. Is broad the correct word? Wide. Yeah, it's not very wide. I think that has to be right. Here you can see I'm using those concrete pillars to create something like a barrier for the water, which doesn't make sense when I'm saying it like that. You know what I mean. And here I was doing some backdrop work, because I wanted to have something in the background like we have for the pygmy hippos as well, and as we do for the Fusa habitat and for the lemurs. So I decided to use the stalactites and some of the fake trees and stuff like that, and combine the whole thing and make a backdrop out of it. I have to tell you guys that I changed it later on. First of all, I was okay with it, even with the coloring of the backdrop, because I thought, well, it's not the same color as the faux rocks that we used in the foreground, but that doesn't matter because it will match the terrain a little bit better if we choose that color, because everything is like sand and dirt and stuff like that. So to give it a little bit more of a beachy coastal vibe, I think. In the end, when I was finished with all the things that I did in here, with the planting and with the little caves for the animals where they can do their nesting and stuff like that, I looked at it and I thought, no, this color looks really weird, so I changed it. You will see it in a few minutes, and did some gray stuff in the same kind of style on the background, and I think it looks way better after that. Yeah, even though the animal oh my god, talking is not that easy today. Even though the habitat for the animals is not that wide, I wanted to have some elevation in there, because that is something that you also do often see in habitats for African penguins. Especially on the outdoor habitats, when you have something like this, this little rock caves for the animals where they can build their nests in. There's always a little bit of elevation, so that these nests are more on an upper level. So this, the reason for that is, in nature, this is also very common, because the nests on a higher terrain are more secure or more safe when it comes to flooding. So if you have higher water levels, it is always better to have your nest on a higher level, so that the water can't reach your chick or the eggs in the nest and harm them or destroy the whole thing. So that is why. And it also makes sense in zoos as well, because if you have heavy rain or something like that, it is also possible that you have higher water levels inside the habitat. So it would make more sense to have those nests on a higher level as well, so that there can be no harm to the animals and the chicks. Yeah, here you can already see what has caused me mostly for changing the rockwork with those stalactites, because I used it on the foreground as well to cover up some parts of the glass a little bit, to make it look a little bit better and not this cold and I don't know the word. Not this cold and boring. I just call it boring. Yeah, but it didn't fit because of the fake rocks that we had in the habitat in this gray color. It looked awkward. Also with those wooden pieces that I'm using right here, it would have made sense because we used something similar for the pygmy hippos. So that is why I used those pieces at first, because I thought that would make a great connection towards the pygmy hippo habitat, so that everything looks a little bit cohesive. But in the end I thought, no, this is not the way that I want to go. And especially somehow it didn't feel right for me to have something like this in a penguin habitat. So I didn't want to have any wooden structures there, so I changed that, deleted it, put some concrete in here, and everything looks better right now. Yeah, so this is going to be the last part of the first part of this video, where I'm building those rock caves for the penguins. Yeah, this is also something very common that you have in lots of zoos. If you don't have some of these rock caves, you do have something like wooden boxes or stuff like that that are accessible to the zookeepers, so that they can have a look at the nests and see if everything is okay with the eggs, if there are chicks in the egg, and if the animals are well and stuff like that, so they can access it, maybe from the top of those boxes, or there is something like a locked door behind those, so that they can have a look at it. So that is something that I wanted to do as well in here, so I decided to have some rock caves in here. Therefore I was just using those pieces from the aquatic DLC that we got with the king penguins. I don't know right now if actually our African penguins can go in there, but I think they would be able to, because the king penguins also can use this, and the African penguin is a lot smaller than the king penguin, so it would make sense that they could actually go in there. But I didn't put anything like those bedding pieces or something like that inside, so the animals do not have a reason right now to go in there. But maybe I change that in the future, so that you will actually see the animals go in there. I also had to change the water level in here a little bit later on, because as the penguins were in there, they were, their all around happiness was in the green, so everything was pretty much okay. It was not perfect, but it was pretty much okay. But they had no space for deep diving, so the water level was not deep enough, because the penguins, the African penguins, need a water depth of 2 meters, and I didn't have that. I think we have around 150, 175, something like that. So I had to change that, go a little bit deeper, so that the animals are happy in the end. Also, I'm saying this right now, even though we are not finished yet. But in the end, when we go into the real-time part and you will see the penguin swim around, you will notice that the concrete pieces that we have on this side here, on the side of the guest, are absolutely messy. This is because I had to change the water level, as I said, and I didn't think about the concrete pieces that I have to go in there as well and put them a little bit lower, but I did that off screen, so in the next episode I'm going to show you that I fixed that. Everything looks fine and really nice right now. So don't worry, I'm not getting messy in here, not more than I usually do, so yeah, there's that. So back on to the work of the house. You can already see the changes that I did on the background, the stuff that I was talking about a few minutes ago. So now we are going to do the house, so finish the house. Therefore I made a custom door once again. I didn't want to have something like a gate for the penguins because I thought that would not make much sense, because penguins are not very dangerous animals if it's not the killer penguin from Zoo Tycoon. Don't get me wrong, this one is a real beast. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, but I think everyone that ever played Zoo Tycoon knows what I mean when I say there was a killer penguin. Okay, so yeah. Penguins in general are not very dangerous animals, so it would absolutely make sense and be possible and would be absolute usual that the keepers would go directly into the habitat when the animals are in there and not having to lock them away to do some work in the habitat. So that's why I decided to have something like a door in here and also leave the door open so that the penguins can go inside and outside whenever they want. For the inside, I had to cut lots of stuff out of the video, because what I was trying is, I told you guys that we are going to build realistic things in here in this zoo. The problem was I wanted to have something like an indoor pool in here. Just a small indoor pool like you would have in every zoo where you have aquatic animals. But it just was not possible for the size of this building, and especially not in the size that it would actually make sense. Because the thing was, I had already put the gate in here. So I lowered the ground, built the little pool, put the concrete pieces down, everything was fine, put the water in. Yeah, but I only could put the water in when I deleted the gate of the habitat. Because, you know, mechanics in the game, you can only have water in a certain level if you don't have any fencing around, any gates around, any path around and stuff like that. So always put the water in first, then lay down the path or the barriers, and never ever delete the water afterwards, because the possibility is very high, the likeliness is very high that you don't get the water back on the level that you want it to be. So the thing was, I deleted the gate so that we could have the water in the indoor pool. So everything worked out fine. I put the water in, a perfect water level, I was very happy with that, and then I tried to put back in the gate. Yeah. And you guys, guess what? It was not possible anymore. I just couldn't put down the gate anymore. And so I tried several things. I just tried to build the pool on the other side of the building and just change the door a little bit, and everything did not work out like I wanted it to. And so in the end I decided, no, as this is going to be a just a backstage building with no access for our visitors. They can't even look inside of this. We're not going to have a pool in here, unfortunately, because in terms of realism, that's a no-no. Yeah, but it is what it is. I'm very sorry for that, and I hate myself for that. No, I don't hate myself for that. I really wanted to do it, but if things are not possible, and if things are only possible for me to do in a way that I think it would not be realistic anymore, or I have to make too many changes to what I have done already, I'm not going to do that. So I hope you guys are okay with that, and yeah. But therefore we did something on the interior for our stuff that you might see in a few minutes, and I hope that you guys are okay with that instead. I just was thinking about the correct words to use once again. You know that. You know me. Yeah, and in the end, I really do like this backstage building once again. It is very simple, but I think it is very effective. Especially with this little gate that we have in here, I think it makes so much sense, and yeah, as I said, I really like it. I really like the view of it. Yeah, and here you can see him putting down the bedding for the penguins so that they would have the need to go in there, or would have a reason to go in there. I also put down a feeder, because I was putting down an underwater feeder in the habitat, but even though the water level was now 2 meters deep, it was not deep enough for the feeder. So I decided to not have a feeder in there. Well, I did not decide to not have a underwater feeder in there. I just had no choice. So yeah, therefore we have this feeding platform, or this feeder inside the house, so that the animals once again would have a reason to go in there. Yeah, and here's something I wanted to build. That's something like a cooler where you can put in fish for the penguins, which would make lots of sense. And I also wanted to have something like a little kitchen in here, because you know, penguins eat fish, squids, and stuff like that. So I wanted to have something in there, yeah, a little kitchen with a sink and stuff like that, where the keepers can prepare the fish before they go into the habitat and feed the animals. And once again, I like to use those metal pieces that are usually for those signs that you can write on in the game. They are just perfect for such, yeah, industrial work, I would say. And I tried to use very simple building pieces and not too much of it. So this is something that you could easily build yourself. You can already see the pieces that I'm using. It's not very complicated to do stuff like that. And I also used some of these concrete pieces to fill in the gaps and yeah, have something like a sideboard or stuff like that. You can already see the sink on top, just closing the gaps on the background. Yeah, using those tile pieces from the African DLC in there. and having some tiles on the background as well in the colors white and blue. And we are almost done with the sink. Yeah, and here you can already see you don't need that much pieces to build something like that. Very simple, very effective. Just putting some props around here and there. And then we are almost finished with the interior in here. Yeah, so what I was thinking about when I did this, you can already see that I put the shovel on top of this. I thought the thing that would be missing in the game so bad if you do something like a little kitchen for the feeding of the animals, it would be just a knife. So, Francha, if you are seeing or hearing me, my only wish for the next DLC or the next update would be a knife. I'm not asking for much, just give me a knife. This would be so perfect. I already did some interior work for a staff area or feeding kitchen in Litchfield Zoo, my German sandbox series, where I built a house for the hyenas, and there is also an staff area where the guests can actually look into. So we have the hyena house with this huge window where you can see into the spot where the food is going to be prepared for the animals. And there's also a knife missing. So knife would be pretty cool. Okay, so the next thing, I wanted to have a viewing spot for our guests for the land area for the penguins as well. So I didn't want to have just the underwater viewing area around there. So I decided to build something like I just call it gazebo. I don't know if it is the correct word, whether in German or in English. I just call it like this. If it is the wrong word, just tell me in the comment section. Yeah, and so I put down some of these wooden pillars, some concrete pillars, so that it would look realistic, so that actually the whole build would be stable and be able to hold up. And when I'm doing stuff like this, this is something that you also will see right now. I'm always building those things in parts. So I'm doing the thing with copy and circle it around, as you already know, but to have more well-shaped forms and not those awkward overlappings in times, I'm building those things in parts. That makes it a lot easier, and especially when you have something like this support beams here that you don't want to have 100 times but only a few times around, and you don't need it on every single piece. It absolutely makes sense if you just do it in parts like I do right here. So I wanted to have this wooden frame on top all around it. So that was the next stop here. Not stop, step. Yeah, and then connecting everything again into a building. I was thinking of having this frame on the ground level as well, but in the end I decided no, that doesn't look right to me, so I did not do that. So the next step is to make the support structure for the roof. So therefore I used these wooden beams from the Twilight DLC once again. And once again, I do want to have this wooden structure, this support structure, not everywhere on every single piece. So I just did it like this, so that we have it 4 times on every side and everything is fine. So then I used those wooden pieces from the Conservation DLC to build the actual roof of our gazebo. So therefore it is necessary to start a little bit bigger on the bottom of it and go smaller when you come towards the top of the whole build, so that you don't have too much overlapping going on, so that it looks awkward in the end. And you will see it in the end that everything works out pretty fine and everything looks really cool and really neat. Yeah, just like that. Select everything and then once again start copying and circling it around. And here you go. And you have a perfect roof. So a little bit of decoration around here. Therefore I used these penguin statues that we have. And then we are actually done. And we can put in the animals and have a look at the whole habitat and go into the real-time part. So therefore I updated the map once again, as you know from me. And here are penguins, and let's go and check them out. So as you know guys, I'm going to leave you alone with the animals in the end. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did so, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any further episodes or any other stuff on my channel. There's going to be so much more this year going on right here. And also leave a comment, what do you think about the zoo, which direction should we go next? And don't forget to vote for the next animal on my YouTube channel, so that I know for which animal I'm going to build next week. Okay, with that being said, have fun guys, enjoy the rest of the video and see you next week. Bye!